Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. We are going to be discussing Kenobi Part 3. So, if you guys have missed our first discussion on the first two episodes, backtrack just a little bit so you know what's going on here. But before we jump into Kenobi, we wanted to touch a little bit on the news that came from Celebration, specifically the TV shows coming out. Because we have Andor, Ahsoka, Mandalorian Season 3, Bad Batch, and then a bunch of new projects that are scheduled to release. So, out of all the news that you heard out of Celebration, which one are you hyped the most for?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, probably Mando Season 3, just because Mandalorian is so good. It's been so good so far. But also Andor. I've been talking to some of my friends, and some of them aren't excited about Andor. But for me, if we get any live action content between 3 and 4, I'm always down for that because there's so many possibilities of characters and stories that you could put in there. So I'm excited for Andor too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I was talking to a few people over at Celebration, and they're actually really excited for Andor. Only just because the way that the trailer came out, it looks like it's going to be moving into like a new direction. It honestly almost looks like it's movie quality.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And
I was just gonna say I'm also excited about the episode count too.
yeah, I was gonna say, was it 12 episodes and then 2 seasons, and it's gonna lead into Rogue One?
Nice. They should probably. I mean, if I was Lucasfilm, I would drop them 2 at a time.
2 episodes at a time?
Yeah. First of all, if they don't do that, then it's gonna be a long. That show's gonna be on for like 3 months or something like that. And then
Yeah.
also just to keep, because Andor is, although Andor's a cool character, he's a newer character, and he's not a Jedi or anything, so just to keep fans enticed in the story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting just on just the choices of characters that they're choosing to really like jump more into.
Yes, I agree. I think it's kind of smart to do Andor as a newer character because, as we've seen, and not to the fans' fault, but we can get really, really nitpicky about the characters that are already established, like Boba Fett and Kenobi and Vader, and so Andor, you have a little flexibility to create something new. So
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying for a long time. That's why I think the sequels got so much hate, is just because a lot of people had ideas of the characters already. And so naturally, nobody's going to live up to the actual characters. Like even Luke and Mandalorian's getting a lot of hate. And it's just because people have these ideas of the characters and jumping into it. It's like, okay, I would have done Luke this way, or I would have done this, I would have done that. And so I think that's why Mandalorian is probably so successful, because it's a brand new character, a lot of new side characters, and so there's really no expectations out of them.
right, yeah, I think we kind of accept the story that they're telling us.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we'll touch on this a little later, but just the Mandalorian is just really, really well done. And
Yeah.
so usually I'd be super excited for all the TV shows we're getting, but I don't know if they're going to be quite the same quality as Mandalorian. I don't think Boba Fett was. So we'll have to see.
No, they tried to.
Yeah.
Ahsoka looks pretty cool too. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't really hyped for that, just because I think a lot of the fans that are getting into Star Wars now were kind of like how you were. Like, you never saw Clone Wars until this last few months. And so a lot of people that are jumping into Star Wars now, they're trying to catch up and they're like, okay, who's this Ahsoka character? She's in Mandalorian. That's probably their first introduction to Ahsoka.
Right.
And so now they got to go back and watch Clone Wars. They got to watch Rebels to kind of figure out exactly what Ahsoka's mission is. And that's some cool little things because they did a little teaser trailer just out of 8 days of filming that had some cool stuff. And
Yeah, dude, you sent that to me. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I showed some of my friends because a lot of my friends are big Clone Wars fans, so big Ahsoka fans, and they can't find that on YouTube, dude. So he gave me that sneak peek of it.
oh yeah, it's exclusive. I can't.
Exclusive.
Anybody that posts it either gets copyrighted or their accounts get locked. So
Yeah.
keep it secret, keep it safe.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, and then we got Tales of the Jedi, which looks really cool because we're gonna get some stories with Count Dooku, and also speaking of Ahsoka, we get to see Ahsoka's origin.
Yeah, man, they're really embracing the prequel era, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, I think they're doing it because they're trying to set up into a lot of the building up for I think the High Republic and maybe moving into the Old Republic because I know we're getting that to the Old Republic remake, and so I'm sure a lot of their plans are trying to push us back.
Okay, yeah, true.
Because I know with another announcement with the High Republic books, they're just finishing up Phase 1 and moving into Phase 2. I know they're moving, I think, another 150 to another 200 years back from that timeline.
Okay.
So I think this one's going to be 500 years prior to the prequels.
Well, I believe, and I'm not sure because, as you know, at Celebration, there wasn't really any talk about movies. It was all TV shows.
Yeah.
But I think the next movie, I know the next movie is going to be the one directed by Taika Waititi. But
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot he's on one.
yeah, and there's already been articles that's slated to be the next movie, but I think it's a High Republic movie too. I could be wrong,
I
but
believe so. Yeah.
I'm down for High Republic. I'm down to invest to explore a new area of the galaxy. So
And to revisit old ones. I'm actually really excited in Mandalorian. We're jumping into actually going back to Mandalore. And I
yeah,
see some confrontation with Bo-Katan and Mandalorian. Well, it seems like confrontation.
yeah.
So I'm kind
I
of curious of how that's going to play out.
I never saw the Mando season 3 trailer.
Ooh, I think I might have it somewhere. I might have to send that one to you too.
Dude, I was going to ask you if you could send that because I'm really excited for that. It's not on YouTube yet, so.
I don't think you'll find that on YouTube just because any of those stuff that gets leaked gets taken down immediately. They literally have people that are on top of this.
Yeah.
And so it's very intriguing.
Yeah, dude. It'll be exciting.
The same thing with the Bad Batch season 2 trailer. I'm not sure if no, I think they did release that one.
Yeah, I saw that trailer. Bad Batch is it's cool, but I'll definitely watch it when it comes out. But I'm not like on the edge of my seat waiting for that one. Yeah, but
wait, you're not excited to see Commander Cody teaming up with Crosshair?
yeah. No,
and
it's
then,
like
and then also you Clone Wars fans, Gungi's coming back.
Who's good? Who's that?
He's a Wookiee Jedi. He's one of the young ones.
Yeah. They
So
have
I'm
to
wondering
escape the
if him
jungle.
and Petra and some of the other ones are still alive. It'd be kind of cool to see them.
I just want to say something about the Ahsoka series real quick. I'm super excited for that. Just anything live action Star Wars, I'm just freaking pumped for. But it still just gnaws on me. It always just has gnawed at me that Ahsoka is alive after the original trilogy and during the original trilogy. So that the time for that show, the timeline is going to be during the Mandalorian, right? Or around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I do wish. I don't know. I could have gone for a between 3 and 4 timeline for Ahsoka series too, but I'm sure this one will be pretty cool.
I mean, they did her story in between 3 and 4 in Rebels.
True. That's true. I haven't finished Rebels yet, so.
So maybe after you watch Rebels, you might actually accept Ahsoka's lack of dying and her lack of presence in the original trilogy.
I really hope so, because it actually it kind of bothers me a little bit. It like messes with my it just messes with the story for me. So I hope it all makes sense when I watch it.
Yeah, hopefully. So a lot of cool stuff coming up this year. We're gonna get a lot of cool projects coming out, and I'm really excited just to see. It's gonna be almost overwhelming with all the content that we're gonna be getting.
Yes, dude. So also, I recently forced my friend to watch Star Wars. He'd never seen it, and I'm just like, dude, you got to watch it. So he finally watched New Hope, and he's gonna make his way through the original trilogy. And he was asking me, he's like, dude, is are we getting some new content soon? I'm like, this is the time to get into Star Wars. I don't think we've ever got this much content. Well, actually, I know we've never got this much content of new Star Wars before. So I told him it's the perfect time to get into it.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, Andor's
But it
coming
might
out.
be overwhelming for new fans too,
Yeah,
just like jumping
true.
into the Marvel films.
Yeah, yeah. I pretty much told him just watch the 6 movies, and you can throw Rogue One in there just to start,
Yeah,
and then you can kind of branch out after that. But
you kind of figure out if he wants to jump into any of the other stuff.
yeah,
Especially because if he's gonna jump into Mandalorian and he jumps into Ahsoka, it's cool that they're doing this continuous story that you have to jump into these other things and other characters. But I think that's one thing that I liked with Kenobi is that they did that whole flashback of
yeah.
the entire prequel trilogy.
Yeah, and also, Mandalorian is not. It's not necessary for the story of the first 6 films, but
No.
it's a bummer to leave that out. For your first watch through, because it's a masterpiece. Mandalorian is a masterpiece. It's some of the highest quality Star Wars, but he'll get to that eventually, and I'm sure he'll like it when he sees it.
Yeah, if he likes the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've actually had some good experiences with some friends that introduced Star Wars to, and they're not on the level that I'm at, but they're like, what is it? This girl I work with, she was watching Kenobi, and she was like texting me, and her texts were like very anxious and like excited. It was really cool to kind of see that type of excitement coming out of some of my friends. I'm like, all
That's
right,
cool. But it's funny because everybody from my generation, even if we haven't seen Star Wars, we've all played some of the video games like Lego Star Wars or Battlefront or something like that. So any knowledge that this friend has that I'm telling him to watch it, he has from Lego Star Wars. So he only knows like a few cutscenes here and there.
That's actually pretty funny.
And I'll just throw this in really quick. It's kind of cool. He asked me the other day. He was like, "If Vader's the most powerful person in the galaxy, how does he die?" I mean, because I'm pretty sure Vader dies, and I was like, I just think that's really cool, dude. He doesn't even, that's not spoiled for him yet.
Very true. Intriguing.
Gets to experience it for the first time.
Well, I'm really hoping that he enjoys it.
Yeah,
It's always fun
yeah.
to, like I said, it's always fun to get friends into it and just kind of see their reactions and kind of see if they're like, whatever, or it's like, oh yeah, I've got to watch more.
Yeah, yeah. And I just experiencing Star Wars for the first time, man. I can't even remember that. So it's just exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So let us jump into the main feature of this conversation.
Let's do it, man.
Kenobi Episode 3. Well, technically, they're labeled as parts.
True. Part
so
3.
Overall, what'd you think of this episode?
Overall, I thought it was pretty good. For me, part 1 and part 3 are they're pretty close. I can't I can't decide which one's better. They're both pretty good.
All right, cool. So throughout this discussion, at the end, I'm gonna have you rate it. So think of a rating for them.
Let's do it. Yeah. But yeah,
So
I like that. What'd you think?
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, what'd you think of the episode as a whole?
I thought it was kind of boring at parts, but I mean, I really enjoyed like a lot of the storytelling that's going up. I know they're what I'm really liking is that they're showing Obi-Wan seeking out Qui-Gon, but I'm also kind of curious because it seems like he's disconnected from the Force, but he's constantly calling out to Qui-Gon. So it's kind of like a curious.
I know he's called out to him every episode so far, and it's almost would seem too obvious if we get Qui-Gon now. I'm almost like maybe Qui-Gon won't show up. You know?
Yeah, no, I'd be surprised if we don't see Qui-Gon at this
You,
point.
yeah. So I'm not sure about that. I hope we do, man.
I do too, because I think I know Liam Neeson said he would jump in and he'd take a pay cut just because he wants to do Qui-Gon again.
Yeah.
And I really like Qui-Gon as a character.
Yeah, I love Qui-Gon. That book that I'm reading, you've already read it too. It really elevates his character. So,
And I don't know if I'm liking Kenobi's personality that they're doing with him. He's kind of got like this really negative personality, and I think it's just coming from a lot of this PTSD. I think for him it makes more sense, the PTSD that he's going through, than what Luke went through in The Last Jedi.
right.
I mean, literally, Satine died, and then so he sees Satine die, and then sees the fall of the Jedi Order. So basically, his entire world is destroyed.
Yeah.
And his best friend basically goes to the dark side and is the cause of the destruction of his world.
Right. I was. That's the next thing I was gonna touch on too. I really wanted Kenobi to be in a broken place in this series because I think that's the logical thread that you'd point to. I imagined him to be very weak mentally, but he's a lot weaker physically than I would have probably put him if I was writing the show. At this point, he's super weak. He's scared. Like I don't even think he could. I don't even think he could fight an Inquisitor at this point. So,
Which is
that's
strange because I know Ahsoka handles two of the Inquisitors, the fifth and brother included.
yeah. It's shocking to see his physical strength at such a low point.
But and that's what I'm thinking because we'll get to that whole Vader introduction and that whole confrontation in a bit, but I almost feel at this point he's gonna have like some type of enlightening, like I don't know. I feel like he's going to call out to Qui-Gon again, but this time subconsciously, and he's going to get a vision of Qui-Gon, and something's going to change in him after this fight.
Right. Well, he's got to, dude, because I think the strength of this show or the success of this show, is going to rely on him, doing a full 180 as a character, coming back strong, and because he has to end up like Alec Guinness in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Confident,
so
strong.
So we know he has the skills. We know that he's been trained. We know Obi-Wan is a powerful Jedi, and so I think it's going to be that whole reconnecting the Force is going to bring all that muscle memory back and all the skills back.
Right. Let me introduce something else too. I know that O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son, is in the show. He's been cast in the show. I'm wondering if he might be playing Quinlan Vos.
That's right. I did want to talk about that. Quinlan Vos is still alive at this point, which is crazy.
And I think Jackson Jr. might be playing him. So maybe instead of Qui-Gon, maybe he reconnects with Quinlan Vos and they train together or something.
Maybe he's there on the planet and he helps Tarla get Obi-Wan to safety or something. Because it's kind of weird that Vader did just jump across the fire and just go and grab Obi-Wan. I feel like one random sharpshooter up in the cliffs shouldn't have been that much of a problem for the Empire at this point.
Yeah, well, that's the big problem that everybody has with this episode. But I don't know. I wasn't as outraged as some people. Some people were really just like outraged about it, but I felt like it was kind of obvious because I mean, just 2 seconds before he used the Force to put out the fire, when he threw Obi on the ground, and so I mean, obviously he can do that again. But we get those long shots of Vader's helmet, and then you cut back to Kenobi and the droid, cut back to Vader's helmet, and it's just a long drawn out shot. So he's thinking something. So he did it for a reason, but we don't know why yet. We could guess, but it's not that he couldn't. I just think he did it for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I've been kind of like thinking a lot about this episode, and you jump back to Anakin. Anakin was a very cocky Jedi, and so you even look at Rogue One, the end of Rogue One. Vader stood at the end of the ship as the 10-4 escapes with the plans, and he could have probably easily just reached out with the Force and just stopped the ship, but he's like, "Nope, I'll be seeing them in 15 minutes."
Yeah. Oh, true.
Just because he knew, he knows his abilities,
Yeah.
and I think it's the same thing with Obi-Wan. He's like, Obi-Wan, I just injured Obi-Wan really bad.
True. Yeah.
Plus, I'm here. We've probably got the entire planet surrounded. Nobody's going to get off this place, and Kenobi's not going to get far.
Yeah.
So
that's the exact feeling I had too when that scene happened. I just kind of thought Vader was thinking, "I'll see you again." That's kind of what his thought process was. So
he's like cat and mouse. He's like, I'll let you escape. Give you some false hope.
Mm-hmm. To go back to Anakin's characterization too, when I first watched the episode, I thought I wanted a little more anger in the dialogue from Vader. I kind of wanted a little more anger in his voice. But after thinking about it for a little bit, it was like, Anakin's kind of downfall against Kenobi the first time was that he was just out of control. he was just out of control, and so he's had 10 years to kind of become Darth Vader. And Darth Vader's a cold-blooded, calculating villain in the original trilogy, and so we're kind of getting more original trilogy Vader than Episode 3 Vader. So I'm kind of cool with the.
First of all, he's more grounded at this point.
Yeah, it's a ton more grounded. Yeah, way more grounded.
And he's had 10 years to kind of just get over it. Not that he really got over it, but it's like, okay, it's like, all right.
Just to kind of reflect on it, reflect on his, how he lost, and make himself better.
And Anakin's not one that makes the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Generally.
Let me think. I'd have to think about that, but I think you're right.
So, what do you think of Reva talking to Vader at the very beginning? I thought it was really cool that we got to see some shots of Vader's castle and kind of a little bit more inside of it. I've always been curious how it looks inside.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we see Vader, I'm excited. But you know what? When I first saw that, I something about it just seemed like green screen to me. The back of it, and maybe the chair or something.
It was just so clean.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, something about it. I just had like a green screen feeling. But the voice of Vader is perfect. I think in Rogue One, because James Earl Jones is 90, that's not his fault. But in Rogue One, they probably made it in 2014, 2015. That's when they were shooting it. And I don't think they have the re-speaker technology. Like, how they made Luke's voice all through a robot in Boba Fett.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't have that technology back then. So, it was just 87-year-old James Earl Jones just doing the voice. And he sounds older. He doesn't sound like he did in the original trilogy in Rogue One. But in this one, he sounds just like he did in the 70s and 80s. He sounds great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually really liked James Earl Jones coming back. A lot of people were thinking that it's kind of like a little voice modulator.
Well, I was going to say it's both, because you get the credits of James Earl Jones, and then after that, if you go to the very end, they do credit re-speaker. It's the same tech that they use for.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I misunderstood what you're saying then. Well, that's actually really cool then.
So yeah, but I think that first of all, the technology also is getting better, obviously every day, and also Vader's kind of a robot. He's part robot, so I think it kind of works a little better for Vader's character. But it really sounds good. I think they credited James Earl Jones because they're using his voice, obviously, but they're putting that through the re-speaker technology. But it sounds good. I'm very happy with how it sounds.
Mm-hmm. Especially when he's talking to Reva, he's like, okay, I don't care about the Grand Inquisitor. He's like, but if you fail me, you're not going to live to regret it. And so you kind of have that same kind of like, don't fail me. Yeah,
and just forget about how he sounds, but just to go to the dialogue of that we were talking about, him and Reva. The Inquisitors are just tools to him. He doesn't have any kind of not friends. their tools for Vader, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like the tools, so they're all named fifth brother, third sister, fourth sister, Grand Inquisitor. Like they all have like titles, but third sister is the only one that has a name that I've seen, which I found very interesting. I'm wondering why. Like, what's
Have they called her Reva in the show, or do they just tell us that's her name?
No,
True.
they use her name a couple times. I think fifth brother yells at her, goes Reva, and
Okay.
then Grand Inquisitor says it. I think in the second episode too.
Yeah. You know what?
And no, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm really intrigued to find out what her deal is, because she's obviously an outcast among the Inquisitors. So, like, what's different about her? You know?
I mean, do you want to know?
No. Please, no. Dude, I'm
I
gonna
can tell you.
usually no, because like even on Book of Boba Fett, I would jump on the leaks, but for this show in particular, I'm trying to stay away from everything. So, please no.
Fair enough.
Wait, I gotta ask you a question. Have the leaks so far been true that you knew before going in?
The way that she's doing things in the show is making sense for what I know.
Okay. Have there been some stuff that's not true, or has it been pretty much 100%?
Pretty much 100% so far.
Damn. Okay. Because I know some people who heard the leaks, didn't like the way it ended. So.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it's actually done. Honestly, there's like a difference between hearing leaks and then building it up in your head, and then actually see it play out on screen.
True. Yeah, the one thing about this show that I think is a lot, better than Book of Boba Fett is that I'm really excited for the next episode. Like, I can't wait to see what happens next, because I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do. So,
well, they're gonna go rescue Leia.
Yeah, dude, I was surprised that we're still rescuing Leia, because they stole Leia again.
And I have some issues about that whole thing too. It seems interesting to say the least. Like, Leia's got like this huge thing, or this huge distance ahead of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has this huge distance ahead of her, so she's able to get to the pilot, but somehow Reva makes it there before her. Yeah, so it's interesting that she got captured again. Like, it seemed obvious when that whole event was playing through, and I was like, because I was like, oh no, go help Kenobi, I'll be fine from here on out. I'm like, all right, this is a cliche scenario. Leia's gonna get there, the pilot's gonna be dead, and who's gonna be there? It's gonna be most likely Reva or one of the other Inquisitors, and sure enough, there's Reva.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, no, you can trust me. It's like, no, you can't. Get out of there.
Yeah. It's pretty cliche, and it doesn't really make sense also, because how did Leia not see her pass her in the tunnel? But I don't know. Maybe she went over top. Maybe she went over the top and used force speeder. Who knows? But
I don't know, because like the whole sequence that we see of Reva walking through, she doesn't leave. She's like walking in the building. She's like checking things out. She finds the pathway and then walks in, and then it cuts to her at the end of it.
yeah.
So I mean, maybe the off screen she walked out of the building and tried to sense the tunnels. I don't know.
Also, I heard people say that's Rian Johnson as the dead pilot.
Ooh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I haven't gone back and looked at that yet, but I'm gonna check that out.
Death to Rian Johnson. I'm just kidding.
Because no, honestly, it'd be a funny. No, literally, that's why they would put that in there. It's like a funny, because everybody, Star Wars fans aren't too keen on him. So,
I mean, that's just because they chose to have him write characters that everybody loves. Like, I keep saying this, if Rian Johnson did his own series, I think it'd be all right, because as we discussed earlier, new characters, no disappointment.
yeah, but I mean, he did write it. He wrote Last Jedi as well, not just directed it.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, if he's to do his own series, He
Oh,
can write his own
okay.
characters that no one
I see.
knows.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Looper's really good. I saw his Looper movie. Really, really good.
I still haven't seen Looper, but I saw Knives Out.
I don't think I've seen Knives Out, actually.
I would suggest watching it.
Okay, and also, dude, I would suggest Looper. It's also science fiction, and it's honestly, I think it's one of the best science fiction movies I've ever seen. It's that good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
Fair
I
enough.
I recommend it. Yeah.
But however, that's actually really cool though. So jumping back to Kenobi,
Mhm.
I really like the interaction that they did with Leia and Kenobi. I think because I put in my notes, like I was just watching it the whole time because like I mentioned, Kenobi's like this very traumatized person right now, full of PTSD,
Right.
not willing to trust anybody. But Leia's like, no, let's go do this. And so they kind of counteract each other. And I really liked how you got to see more of the opposites, but Kenobi slowly getting pulled towards Leia's way of thinking. Kind of like
Yeah.
she's reminding him, no. Galaxy's still a good place. It may suck right now, but we can still find good in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love their interactions. I still think that Leia's executed to perfection. I think they're doing a great job writing her, and the actress is doing a terrific job acting as Leia. And
Yeah.
I think she's really almost executed to perfection. The one thing is, I think sometimes her Force intuition is a little overstated because
Yeah.
we see that like one time in the original trilogy, and that's when she's a full adult. So I think some of that's a little overstated. But as far as her characterization and dialogue goes, I think it's actually really, really good.
Yeah. And she's a really good liar.
Yeah, she's a good liar. Apparently, she's fast, man. She can outrun 3 adults. Um, oh,
They weren't trying that hard.
dude, that we don't have to dwell on that, but that was the lowest point of the series by far. Jeez,
Yeah.
it was so goofy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, huh? It's weird because the show has like an over $100 million budget for the whole show, and I just don't. It's just weird that something like that passes through. But at least episode part 3 didn't have anything like that, so that's a plus.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get more into this, but the cinematography is kind of a little off on me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could touch on that later. Actually, one thing that I did think was a little off-putting that did take me out of it was the Arizona planet. I mean, you could any state. It's up in the, it could be California.
Oh, you're talking about the one that they're on in this episode?
Yeah, when they were just walking through the pathway. It's just like, man, maybe in CG in After Effects you could add some vegetation or something, make it look a little otherworldly. But
Yeah, but I think they're trying to make it look like more like a valley or like a plains, because Kenobi was like, "Oh, this place used to be full of life and families, but now that the Empire's here, it's kind of just like discussing what they've done with it."
yeah, and to be fair, I'm sure there's planes in Star Wars universe too. But I'm just saying, it's still Star Wars. Like in a forest planet like Endor, it has such a unique look to it, and and think about the planets in Mandalorian. Same kind of budget. Like think about the planet where Bill Burr and Mando has to take off his helmet and they have to kill all those Empire. That's a dope planet, and there's a lot of imagination put into that. So I don't know. I just would like a little more imagination, but it didn't ruin the
I know
episode.
they're doing pretty good with Vader's castle and some of the other planets, and especially the Inquisitor headquarters.
Oh, absolutely. Like Dayu as well. I love that.
Oh yeah, Daiyu.
Tatooine looked great, but
this planet just doesn't do it for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just like I'd like some more imagination. I mean, Dayu. Look at everything they put into Dayu. The bustling.
We got an alien.
What was that?
We got an alien.
Oh yeah, but I'm just talking about like the planet, the city.
No,
cool.
I'm messing with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, actually, hey, I actually really like the alien in this episode.
Right.
Yeah, dude. For me, the weirder aliens look in Star Wars, the better. I really like the alien in this episode.
I did too, and I kind of liked what they did with the character too, because like most of the time, like that we see on screen, especially like with the rebels, everybody's like, "Oh, we hate the Empire, we hate the Empire," blah blah blah,
Mm,
and you get this guy who's just like completely pro Empire. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's good to see some order in this galaxy."
right. It, honestly, I agree with that, and I really I think that's a strength too.
Because especially when he picks them up, he's like, "Oh, all right, well, your story sounds funny. Just two
Yeah,
farmers that lost your way all the way out here.
yeah,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah. And it's
But
kind of
all
cool.
right, we'll take you."
Yeah, it's like regular people in the galaxy actually support the Empire because what is this? He's just a trucker. This guy's probably just I don't know. He transports things, right? And so maybe the Empire provides I don't know stability or something. You know, they for his routes or something like that. So he'll back the Empire. So it's kind of a cool thing that they put in there.
Yeah, again, yeah, I liked what they do with him, especially like he's just talking to them, getting to know them a little bit more.
Yeah.
And Leia's coming up with this whole story. Not quite. I wasn't gonna say Qui-Gon. Kenobi's just kind of just chilling there. He's like on edge. Like,
Mm.
oh, what are you saying? What are you saying? It's like I don't even want to be hitchhiking right now.
Yeah.
Not to mention we get the stormtroopers that come on,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh yeah, there's a Jedi in this area, and we're kind of hunting them. And you haven't seen any Jedi. We don't know what they look like. And then Leia says something, and then he's like, well, Leia, I think they know how to do their job.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like the reaction of the stormtrooper, or at least maybe just the way that it was delivered. Kind of seemed off to me.
Mm.
Maybe a little overacting on it.
Which
There's
one?
like the stormtrooper that starts questioning Kenobi after he says Leia. He's like, "You just called her Leia. I
Oh
thought her
yeah.
name was Luma." I don't know, just the delivery or just the way that the stormtrooper said. I don't know, just something seemed off on it.
Oh, I was actually listening for that because I was hoping the stormtroopers kind of sounded. I mean, they don't have to all sound the same, but I wanted him to sound good. I actually thought he sounded fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I will
But I
say,
did find it funny. Say again.
the funniest thing about that scene, and I didn't have a problem with this when I watched it, but somebody was telling me this after, and it's like, what the hell are those stormtroopers looking for? They're looking for a Jedi, and you got the Jedi right in front of you with his hood off. So did they not get like an image of the Jedi they're looking for? Like, I'm curious what these stormtroopers are looking for when they're searching for the Jedi.
Maybe, maybe, and I feel like Kenobi would be like more recognizable.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, and I don't know what the stormtroopers exactly are. You know, what they're on the search for.
A Jedi.
Yeah, but I'm like, nobody has a scan. Well, actually, they do have a scan of Kenobi's face because Reva put out that scan in Dayu, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like,
And
how about they
she
send that
saw with the
over to
pro
the
droids,
stormtroopers? Yeah, yeah. So how about we
which
send
also
that over to the
another
stormtroopers?
delivery that annoyed the heck out of me.
Hmm.
Where
Which
she
one?
just goes in, like I like the way that she said, she's like, send the pro droids, do it now. Like I thought that was like super cool. And
Hmm.
then his brother stands up and is like, I will get what I deserve,
Hmm.
and you will too. And then she just stands there and says, I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah, no. It makes you.
I hated that whole whole comment that she does, how she whispers to herself. It makes her, she's coming off as like this very strong character, and then to me, I felt that just made her look very weak.
Hmm. I
Just
kind of
like,
took. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, go. Let's hear what you gotta say.
No, I was just gonna say it made me think of. It actually made me more curious about her character. I was wondering,
Mm-hmm.
you hope so? Why? Like, what's you know? That's how it
Yeah,
made me think.
exactly. I mean, like it's cool. I don't know. It just seemed kind of out of place for that particular moment.
Hmm.
Like why that time? That I mean, she's kind of talking to herself, so she doesn't look weak in front of everybody else. But I guess to the audience, it's trying to tell a story. It's like okay, I see it from your point of view. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, with all the little hints we've been getting, like I almost think in the back of my head that she really is like working for the rebellion or something. But then I think of all
Okay.
this, but then I think of all the bad. She's cut off a person's hand. She stabbed the Grand Inquisitor straight through the chest. I mean, she's done some nasty things. So I'm like, maybe not. Maybe she's not a good guy.
I don't
But
know. She's got an end goal for something.
Yeah, she's got an end goal for something, but I mean, she's really in the character. If she's working for the rebellion, she's cutting off hands of innocent people.
Hey, you got to play the part, you know.
Damn, wow, she's committed. She would be committed. Yeah, I don't know what her deal is. I'm actually really curious to see how that ends up.
Yeah, and I'll give no comment on it.
All right, for sure. And I will say I do like the fifth brother. I like his delivery. I like the way he looks. I think he's pretty cool.
I liked him in Rebels. I actually think I like him better in Kenobi than in Rebels.
Yeah, dude, he's really cool. His voice sounds cool. Maybe some people think he's kind of forced, but I think it's cool.
I don't know. He kind of like, I don't know. I've always been fascinated with like Japanese, like just Asian culture. I don't think he's Japanese or anything, but just like his accent of just that culture kind of comes through into the way that he performs the character. Almost kind of like a samurai style. And especially because you got like the hat, which it just kind of gives you like this whole feel, and I find it really cool. I think that's one of the reasons why I like this character a lot.
Yeah,
like I'd be more interested to see like a whole show on this guy just hunting.
Yeah, he talks in a whisper, and I don't know what they do with the audio, but sometimes they like add some bass to his voice and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
They just added a bunch of cool stuff to his character that's like kind of intriguing.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't die this season. JK, he's in Rebels. He's still alive.
That's right. He's in Rebels.
Yeah, he's still alive. I want to say for 6-7 more years.
Is the other female Inquisitor in Rebels the alien?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so what I would like to see is once Obi-Wan finally finds his strength again, and his lightsaber combat. I want to see him kill Reva I want to see him kill 2 Inquisitors. So I guess it'd have to be Reva and the other female because the other one survived. But I want to see him take down some Inquisitors.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, before the Vader fight, the rematch. I'm hoping there's a rematch.
True. Oh, I want to jump back on Freck real quick, just because I remembered one thing that he said while they're there.
Yeah.
Like when they mentioned the Jedi. I loved how concerned he was. He's like, "There's a Jedi here? I hope we're not in danger."
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. How they brainwash all the civilians.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny.
You turn that against me. You done that yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because like it fits with that line, like because you jump into Clone Wars and Ahsoka comes across those 2 sisters that are kind of living by themselves and whatever. I forget their name. They make an appearance in Bad Batch, but they're talking about how they don't like the Jedi. They're like, yeah, like there's this whole chasing that happened. The Jedi came in, caused all this damage, and did nothing to console us or anything.
Yeah.
And so I think when the Empire rose, the Empire really played on like, oh, look at all this destruction that the Jedi have brought in this Republic.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to come in, we're going to fix everything. And so I'm sure they really played a lot of anti-Jedi and a lot of anti-Republic just based off of the Clone Wars alone.
Well, and just add on top of it that Palpatine convinced everybody that the Jedi caused the scarring on his face.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, technically, but
yeah, I mean, really it was himself, but
yeah, but they don't know that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool how I do like some of the world building that they're doing in the show.
I do too. I also like what they're doing with the stormtroopers. Like they frack as they're leaving. To me, it humanizes them a little bit more.
Yeah, true.
And so it's not like they're just normal soldiers and enlisted. Like they're still people.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I liked about it. But another thing that I found very odd and funny with these stormtroopers was they're like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Oh, it's a long story. It's a long drive." And then 2 minutes later, they get off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I didn't realize that the first time I saw it either, but the second time I was like, oh, that's good. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
And then again, I like what they do with Leia and Kenobi. Like when he calls her Leia, and they question him about it, he's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, that was her mother's name." And he goes on that whole thing of like he's just reminiscing and he's like staring at her like he does see her.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so yeah, I really liked how Kenobi was talking about Leia. It's like, oh, whenever he looks at her, he sees her mom, and then
Yeah.
Leia picks up on it. She's like, he's not just telling the story; he's actually being truthful. He's like, he does know my mom, and he's looking at me, and it's like, okay, he is reminded.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool stuff. I like it. I dig it.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, are you my dad? Wish I could say I was, but no.
Yeah. Oh, and then Kenobi mentions he had a brother too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. That's very intriguing. Like he has very, very minimal memories, and so I'm wondering if we're gonna get any more on that, or if it's. I kind of hope they don't. I really hope that they're not just gonna like just introduce something and then explore a whole new thing.
I,
Like Kenobi's looking for his brother now in season 2.
I was just gonna say that. I think that works perfectly as just
Just
just a little,
backstory.
yeah, just a little backstory. We don't need to explore his brother or anything like that. But I agree.
Yeah, it's just like just some normal Joe Schmo.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure a lot of Jedi. I mean, probably like 90% of Jedi that got taken from their homes probably had siblings. So,
Mm-hmm. I mean, we even
um,
see it in the Clone Wars with the episode with the what is it? Cad Bane goes to that Rodian's house with the child and he kidnaps the kid
yeah,
from the family.
yeah,
And so it's probably just something similar to that, except
yeah,
the Jedi are posing as good guys when they go in
yeah,
and kidnap your kid.
yeah. I don't need anything about um, another Obi-Wan. I mean, Obi-Wan's brother. I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay on that. But yeah, dude, we're inching closer to the reveal. Should we start talking about that?
Yeah, because they get to that little outpost and Kenobi's a killer with a blaster.
Oh yeah, he is, dude. He's still got the Force in him. He could still do a number on some stormtroopers.
I mean, he's shooting better than he did in episode 2.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, what the hell? Episode 2, he was all over the place.
But I mean, a lot of these shots were close ranged, whereas the other ones were cross distance with just a pistol. So it was a little bit more realistic with the accuracy.
You know what he could have done when they were when they were about to bring the drone up, or
Yeah,
the probe.
initiate Protocol 23.
Yeah, you know what they could have done? Obi-Wan could have said, "We're not the Jedi. I'm not the Jedi you're looking for. Let me move along."
But again, like at this point, he's still disconnected from the Force. So
Yeah,
I think he's still trying to be like a low profile. Like he could
yeah.
have easily pulled out his lightsaber too, but he didn't. He's trying to.
Also, who knows if he has that kind of influence on minds right now? He's pretty weak.
Yeah, he
So
could barely take control of his own mind
yeah, no, true.
because he had that little hallucination of Anakin off in the distance.
Yeah, yeah, that's legit like PTSD.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was actually super cool.
Yeah, it was, man. I hope we see more of Anakin, but if that's the only thing, man, I really hope we see more.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But
Dude, that stormtrooper got cut in half.
that's what I was just gonna say, dude. In the fight, I mean, the one thing this show is really going far in violence. It's really taken it a lot further than I would have thought. Um, this is probably the most violent Star Wars has been since Revenge of the Sith.
I think so too. Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into the Vader stuff later, but that stormtrooper just gets cut straight in half, man. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. And Kenobi gets saved by an unlikely friend.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? What do you think of Tarla? She shows up, Imperial troopers, and they come in, and she just kills them. What was your first thought?
Once again, I think it's really good world building because you have people who they're working in the Empire. I mean, it's not like she's not a rebel spy. She was actually working in the Empire,
As an
and
Imperial officer.
yeah, as an officer, and she thought all along she was doing good, but then she kind of realizes, holy shit, we're probably the bad guys, and so then
Mm-hmm.
she turns on her own men. I mean, she starts helping the rebels. So I think it's really good writing, actually.
Yeah, because Leia even mentioned when they get back to the little hideout, Leia mentioned something. She's like, "Oh, it's worth it as long because I know I'm helping people."
Yeah, yeah.
And did you think Vader was going to show up this quick?
I did not. I'll be honest. Once I got towards the end of this episode, I was kind of thinking, yeah, it is going a little slow. But the fact that we get Vader for the whole final act of this episode, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, honestly, like, because they're just chilling there. They're like, okay, all right, the pilot's going to be here. Let's just hang out for a little bit. And then the Inquisitors show up.
Mm-hmm.
And they all stand to the side, stand at attention. And as soon as they did that, I'm like, Vader's here.
Yes, and it's very similar to, not very similar, but it's a little similar to Vader's entrance in Rogue One. We start with Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
In Rogue One, you see the shadow looming over Director Krennic, and in this one,
And
he's
A
just
New Hope.
You start with a shadow in A New Hope.
No, not a shadow, but like his entrance to like all like everybody stands at attention before he walks in.
Yeah. True. And he's just kind of like he's a looming figure over everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did like the slow pace of the reveal. You know, you start with the breathing, you get the shadow, then you start with the cape, go to the boots, and then finally work your way up to Vader. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, and dude, like him just going through, like he is super brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Just snaps a kid's neck, just starts dragging people out of their homes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Kenobi's
dude.
just sitting there, just like, I can't go out, I can't go out.
Once again, violent. Like I really never thought we'd see this in a Disney show. I mean, he snapped a kid's neck, probably a teenager, but he snapped his
Yeah,
neck, and then he chokes out the dad, and then he goes in another house, starts dragging some woman, just dragging her on
down
the
the
floor.
street.
Yeah, and finally, I think she dies. I think he actually killed her, and yeah, dude, he's just so violent. And then we'll get to the fire scene later, but I mean, I was really surprised with how far they went in a few places.
Yeah, no. And so Kenobi just gets out and he's like, oh, all right, let's go this way.
Yeah, he's trying to lure him away.
Get the attention off the civilians a little bit, but thinking
Yeah.
he can escape. And again, Vader just shows up in that little mining facility like he's already there. Like
What do you
Kenobi's
mean?
walking down and Vader's already ahead of him in his path.
Oh, okay. But I mean, that's right. I mean, I think that happens in Empire Strikes Back too, I believe, or maybe Return of the Jedi, where sometimes Vader just pop out. He suppresses his breathing. He's good at hiding himself. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think you're thinking of Empire Strikes Back with him and Luke at Bespin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. Can I just say something real quick about before we get into the rest of the fight?
Yeah.
About the show. So this is, I see a lot of people. Some people have a lot of problems with the show. Actually, I think the writing is good so far. I think the acting is good. But I do think it's not cinematic. I don't think it's as cinematic enough. And
Careful, Disney might delete that.
dude, it's not. It doesn't have a movie quality. I went back and I wanted to see if my theory was right. And Mandalorian just looks like a movie. Maybe not quite as good as a movie, but it has a movie feel to it. Where Kenobi feels like it really feels like a TV show. And I went back. I watched episode 5 of season 2. It's the one where it's literally just a side mission. They go and it's hard to explain this one. It's where Baby Yoda eats the macaroons. He's in the little plate.
Oh yeah,
the prequel, and then they go and they kill some stormtroopers. But the CGI is so good, and I don't know if they're using a different camera. Honestly, I think they're using a different camera because something about Mandalorian looks like more like a movie. I wanted to say I saw an interview with Giancarlo Esposito and Jon Favreau. Esposito plays Moff Gideon, obviously, in The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
And Favreau said to Giancarlo, he said, before he signed up for the show, he said, we're writing this, the main villain for the first ever live action Star Wars TV show, and we're writing this character for you. We're writing the character with you in mind. And Giancarlo, he was all excited. He was like, oh, first of all, he loves playing villains. He's really good at playing villains. And he loves Star Wars, so he was really excited. But then Jon Favreau says, but here's the catch. 95% of the budget is going on screen. And so basically he's saying you're not going to get paid a lot for this. But
yeah,
and I think they had to do that because to make Star Wars look legit in TV format.
and Man, Giancarlo Esposito, like I saw him live at Celebration, and every time he was just out on stage or just anything, he was just like really funny, very into the role. And so
Mhm.
it's really cool that he was because it kind of reminds me of Liam Neeson. Like Liam Neeson was willing to take a pay cut just so he can do Qui-Gon. Like
Mhm.
they really like the roles they play, and especially with Hayden Christensen. I was watching one of the interviews that he had, and someone's like, "Oh, in all of Star Wars, what other character would you want to play?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Honestly, I'm just happy with the character. I thought he's pretty awesome."
Yeah. I know. Well, he's got the main character, man.
I mean, true, yeah. I mean, it is Darth Vader, Anakin, but still, it's just really cool that these actors are like really getting into the roles. Like most of these actors are huge Star Wars fans.
Yeah, yeah.
Like honestly, like if I were to
Jimmy
play a
Smits is the
character or
same
something
way.
like that, I'd be like, oh, you don't have, if you pay me, that's cool, but I'm just happy to be in the universe, you know? And I feel a lot of actors are the same way.
Yeah, Jimmy Smits is the same way, dude. Whenever they want him back for Bail Organa, he's down.
Oh man, I love him as a character.
Yeah, Jimmy Smits is a great actor. Um, I just want to say, but I think that's because the budget I think is 20 million an episode for Kenobi, and I'm just trying to get down to why the Mandalorian looks better, and I think it's because you got superstars on the show, like mega superstars, like Ewan McGregor, and then A-listers like Jimmy Smits, James Earl Jones, um, and I think the budget, a lot of it's going towards the actors' salaries. I really think it is because it's just blatantly obvious that the CGI and it just doesn't look as cinematic as Mandalorian. I don't know. That's how I feel. I don't know if other
Honestly,
people.
yeah.
I don't know if other people have that feeling, but that's just the one thing that's really bugging me.
I'll see if I can find I'll do some research on that. I'll see what I can find. I'll talk to a few people that are working on it or know people that are working on it and see
Yeah,
if they can shed any information on that.
that'd be awesome. I'm really curious to see if there's a difference in cameras, if the budget's not as big. Yeah, I'd be really curious because to me it seems obvious. But besides that, um, the cinematic stuff, I think the writing is actually pretty good so far. I like it.
Honestly, like it's really weird because I'll talk to like other accounts and stuff like that, and ever since the Last Jedi, it's very hard to impress a lot of people, even with Mandalorian and all that. And I've been hearing a lot of negative stuff on Kenobi so far, but I'm actually really enjoying it. Like I have my hangups, like
Mm.
I'll jump into any movie in the fandom, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll criticize it.
Yeah,
But the one thing that really has to, the one thing that I really look at to really judge it is like, despite all my hangups, did I enjoy watching it?
yeah,
Because like I can easily set myself apart and just like go, okay, there's all these flaws. All right, let me sit down and let's see if it draws me in. Let me see if it'll what you call it, entertain me.
yeah, yeah.
Did I have fun watching it? And pretty much everything. It's like really fun to watch, especially Kenobi. Like the cinematography, like yeah, it really bugged me, but the dialogue and the acting really pulls me in. It's like okay,
Yeah.
I can forgive them for this, and this is really cool.
I think we agree on that, honestly. And oh man, I had something to add to that. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I think Book of Boba Fett coming out before this put fans in a really like nitpicky mood because there was a lot to
Mm-hmm.
nitpick. There was a lot to nitpick about Boba Fett. There really was,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think we both agree that it's not the masterpiece that we were hoping for. We've gone through some of the flaws. Like Mandalorian's a masterpiece, but
yeah,
it's still really good. Like I'm having a lot of fun watching it, and I think they're doing a really good job. Just not a masterpiece, but
yeah.
it's pretty dang good.
Like even the cinematography, like we were discussing it earlier when we were texting. Like I talked about like, that whole fire scene. Like I thought Vader looked a little off,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
I didn't think so. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why, but I mean it's still a really cool scene.
yeah,
I just like him just coming up. It's like okay, Kenobi, all right, you burned me, you put me in the suit. Now I'm gonna do this exact same thing to you. So I just love
is
how
isn't that
he
good
just used
writing,
his
dude?
lightsaber to ignite it. I'm sorry, say again.
I was just saying, isn't that good writing? Don't you think?
I think so too.
Yeah.
At first, like the first watcher that I did, like this whole thing, I was like, I don't like that Vader just sat there and burned Kenobi.
Hmm.
But then upon watching it again, I was like, you know what? That's actually really cool. Like Vader's pissed off right now. He's like that anger that you're talking about that he should have after their battle in what do we call it? Their battle at Mustafar. Like he's calm and collected, but he's also really pissed. He's like, all right, here's some fire. Kenobi, I'm picking you up. All right, you're gonna sit here and burn just the way you made me burn.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Anakin or Vader not only wants to. I mean, what would he want to do in this situation? He would want to repay what Kenobi did to him. So I think it makes sense, and it was cool, like you were saying. It's kind of cool how they did it. Vader forces. They really show Vader's power in the Force in this episode, which is really cool too. He tears down that. What was it? What were you gonna say?
No, keep going. He tears down.
I was just saying he tears down that huge tank, and then he kind of bends down with a lightsaber, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I don't think Vader looked off. I think Vader looked pretty cool. And it's also cool that we get Anakin's movements because Hayden's in the suit. So
That's true.
What would Anakin actually move like in the suit? So that's another plus that we get.
Very true. And I like the lightsaber combat. Like, I hope this really wasn't the rematch of the century they're talking about.
Yeah, there's no way it could be.
But he's playing like that whole cat mask thing. Like, I thought it was funny. Like, Vader's like, yo, you want to escape me, Kenobi? And Kenobi feels like he's there. So he turns on his blue lightsaber. He's like, oh, here's my lightsaber. This is where I'm at. Blah, blah, blah. And then he turns it off. And then you just see Vader just walking, see all the lights on his suit just moving around as he walks up. And then they get like this little duel. And I love that Vader is just one-handing everything. You can see how much, because Anakin uses a lot of two-hand stuff, but Vader's more of a one-hand fighter. And it's probably just because the suit's the way that it is allows him to do it. But you could just see he's just a lot more powerful at this point. Like he even pushes Kenobi down on the floor, and then with just one hand and his lightsaber, and then you see his left hand come out, and that force push just comes through. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Because he kind of a little bit of flashback to their battle on Mustafar. Like, when they're sitting there dueling, and then both of them are about to force push each other at the same time. They're having that little force lock battle.
Right.
And then they push each other back. Now it's just all one sided. It's like, oh, I'm Vader. All right, here's the force push that I was trying to do back in Mustafar.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to touch on a couple things you said. First of all, I'll just go off this. Yeah, it's one-sided. It's really one-sided. And I think the strength of this fight relies, like you said, on a rematch later because this is not the rematch of the century. But if this was an appetizer just to show Vader's like dominance and strength, then I think it's really well done. It serves that purpose perfectly. Now, if this was supposed to be, like the rematch of the century, then I'm gonna be very disappointed. But as an appetizer, like a little, first little fight, I think it's really, really good.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And also, I was just gonna say, you touched on Kenobi bringing out his lightsaber. That was the first time we see Kenobi ignite his saber in the show, and I think it was actually done in a really cool way because it's not dramatic or anything. He whips it out because he's spooked. He's like, where the hell's Vader? And so he's literally like using it as a flashlight. He's like, where's this guy at? So
because he's got this guy in a black suit at the dead of night hunting him.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm gonna need some assistance to be able to find this guy.
Yeah, I think it was I think they're really nailing. They've really hammered the point that Kenobi is, he's a shell.
I was just say he's just disconnected.
Yeah, disconnected and really just a shell of himself, like in all mentally and physically. So,
because he's looking at Vader and he's like, "What have you become?" I am what you made me.
And did you like the delivery on that line? I thought it was really good.
I liked it. Yeah.
I thought Vader's dialogue was also really good. I thought it was like almost instant classics because we don't have a bunch of dialogue from Vader, and I think every single line was kind of an instant classic for me. I thought they were all pretty good.
I can almost feel him clenching his teeth when he said that. I am what you made me.
Yeah.
Like he's angry. He's like, you did this to me.
And I love that he's angry, but again, like, because he's had so much time to
Reflect.
to reflect on himself, that it's like composed anger. He's not quite like he was on Mustafar. He's a little more composed, like
it's
he's
not
original
rage.
trilogy.
It's I like how you just use it as composed anger.
Yeah.
Like it's justified.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the dialogue
Anakin, if you didn't
pretty good.
destroy the entire Jedi Order, you wouldn't be in that suit. Just saying. Saying.
Well, I mean that's part of Vader being on the dark side, is because he's blaming everything on Kenobi. He's not taking any responsibility for his own actions, and so that's part of what lends him to being on the dark side. But
yeah,
it's funny that he's not willing to take any responsibility for what made him Darth Vader. That's kind of funny.
but in the comics, I think he kind of does though. Like,
Really?
Yeah, because he does a lot of reflecting, especially like on the Battle of Mustafar and all that. Like his loss of he's fueled by his anger because he lost everything, and he's just kind of owning the role now. He's like, okay, Padme's gone, my kids are gone. I've basically destroyed every relationship that I had with, or killed everybody that I was connected to. And honestly, I'm alone and depressed, and I've got this wrinkly old man that shoots lightning out of his fingers as my best friend. So, so at this point, Vader's just kind of like, or Anakin's just basically owning the role as Vader. Like he has nothing else, and I found it really interesting because also in the comic, once he finds out that Luke is his son after blowing up the Death Star, because he had Boba Fett find him. Once he found out, that's when things started to change for Vader.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's when he started start thinking like he started thinking it's like, okay, we'll rule the galaxy, and then Luke kind of changed his mind about it. It's like, no, we can do other things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that we get like this full bred angry Vader here, not holding any punches. You just brutal, and this is like kind of one of the Vaders I want to see. It's almost like that hallway scene again at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah. No, I think it's like, it seems like it's that same Vader, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so there's continuity here between this Vader and the Rogue One Vader. Just a ruthless menace, pretty much. That's what he is, and and very powerful. So I think it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, very powerful. And he lets Kenobi escape because Kenobi is pretty beaten up at this point.
Yeah,
which is very sad to see.
Yeah, that's the big thing where even if you liked the episode or you didn't like the episode, everybody is wondering what kind of happened there at the end. And he just let him go. I mean, why do you think he let him go, Mark? I want to hear your theory.
I think kind of what I mentioned at the very beginning is that he knows Kenobi's not going to get far. He's injured. He's basically at control of the planet. So, and he's got 3 of his Inquisitors with him. Where's Kenobi going to go and how fast? Probably not very fast.
So, what do you think about the idea? And I'm still, kind of figuring out what I think it is, because there's a lot of different ways you could interpret it. But the idea that he was just he was toying with Kenobi, and he was kind of let down. He's like, this does nothing for me. He's not even a Jedi. He's a rat to me. So we're gonna meet again, and then I'll actually beat him because when Kenobi beat Anakin was at his most powerful. He was an absolute monster. And so maybe Vader's kind of thinking the same thing. I want to beat this guy when he's back in his prime, because
this is the guy that beat me.
Yeah, this means nothing. This guy's just an old man, So that might be it too.
The years have made you weak.
Yeah, dude, I like those lines, man. I really like the dialogue.
James Earl Jones is just a beast.
Yeah,
his voice is just phenomenal.
And I think when he was cast as Vader all the way back, I think he was pretty much a no-name back in the 70s. I could be wrong. But
a lot of the Star Wars actors are a lot of no-names when they come into these.
Yeah, so how perfect is it that they chose literally the most menacing voice in the history of film to be Darth Vader. So they did a pretty good job there.
Very, very true. James Earl Jones very iconic, and I'm not sure Vader would be as menacing as he is without James Earl Jones. I don't know. Imagine if they use like the original voice actor, the original actor that just wore the suit,
yeah. I've seen
like
the
just a
behind the
British
scenes.
guy.
David Prowse. If Prowse is just doing he just sounds like a British guy. Yeah, that'd be funny. You've seen those behind the scenes, right?
Oh yeah, 100. Who hasn't?
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I really do like this show. I think it's a good show. Again, the real problem for me is like cinematography and the cinematic quality, because it's a bummer that we don't get the quality of the Mandalorian on this, because we're dealing with Vader and Kenobi. That's the thing that really like kind of upsets me.
I
Like,
think it's like one of those things. Like you can tell that they're focusing more on Kenobi and Vader, because there's like
mhm.
because like you even mentioned like the Leia scene being chased, like that seemed kind of overlooked, but it seemed like they're like, okay, yeah, we'll just put the scene in. All right, let's get to this part.
Mhm.
And oh yeah, let's make sure that this is epic. Make sure this is epic. And so you're gonna get smaller scenes that are. It's like really, yeah, why did they do that? And then it's like, oh, they probably were just like, oh, let's just hurry up and write this part so we can get to this part.
Yeah, yeah, and
And that's kind of how I see it.
I still feel though, even the fight between them, I still don't think it really had the cinematic quality that some of those really big fight scenes of Mandalorian have. But I don't know. I'll be curious if other people have that kind of feeling too. But I really wanted this one to feel like a movie,
But
because it's Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I don't know.
maybe they're saving a lot of the budget and stuff. Maybe they're just
That's
testing
what I
different
for the
things. They're
finale.
saving money and style for the final battle.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe it's possible. I mean, okay, so to that point, when I first saw this, I had a problem with location. Once again, I didn't like that they were just fighting on like a gravel field. But then you think about it, and you're like, where would Vader find Kenobi at this stage in his life? He would find him as a rat in a hovel, because Kenobi's living kind of a rat's life right now. So he wouldn't find him in some castle. He would find him, in a backwater planet. So I like it now.
And I know when that fight scene got the behind the scenes on that, when that first got released, I know a
Mm.
lot of people were thinking it was Tatooine.
I thought it was Tatooine. Yeah.
I'm glad that it wasn't, because I feel like Vader should not go to Tatooine at all.
Hmm.
I feel
Yeah.
like Kenobi's just hiding there, and it's a good hiding spot.
Yeah. I agree 100%. That'd be stupid if Vader knew that Kenobi was on Tatooine.
Yeah, especially because the Inquisitors showed up, and they obviously found the one Jedi. Okay, what's the likelihood that Kenobi's going to be here too?
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting stuff. The next episode is going to be intriguing. Curious what they're going to do with it,
Yeah. That's
because we
the
got 3
thing.
episodes left.
After every episode of this show, I'm just on the edge of my seat. What's going to happen next? I have no idea really what's going to happen. So I'm really looking forward to it tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. But I don't know if we're going to be able to watch it tomorrow night. We'll see.
Dang, man.
I'll have to probably wait till Wednesday morning. But all right, so you've had a little bit of time to think. So what's your rating for this episode?
I feel like this show hits an 8 out of 10 pretty much throughout, but for this episode in particular, um, I'd give it like an 8.5.
Okay, me personally, I'd give it a solid 7.
Solid 7. Oh, ooh, so you hated it. You absolutely despised this episode.
No, it's entertaining.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's just not where
Just
it could have been.
yeah, yeah. Huh? Yeah. No, I'm kind of thinking about my. No, I like it, but because I think the finale has got to be like at a 9 or
If
10
it's
out
not
of
a
10.
10, I'm canceling Disney Plus.
Yeah, but
Just kidding.
just the fact it was just Vader, bro. The fact that we saw Vader suit up for the first time, we literally saw his legs and arms get put on for the first time, and then you see him in his castle and his Vader back in action. I don't know, it was so cool.
That's why I give it a 7. It probably would have been lower. Like a
Dang.
6.5 or something. No, I'll jump it up to 7.5.
You know, I would put the first episode at like almost near 9. I thought it was everything I expected the show to be. It was like the
Mhm.
greatest hits of everything. Like I want to see a nightmare sequence, and bam, check that off because Obi-Wan had the nightmare. So it's really cool how they do the flashbacks, the prequels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this whole show for me is hitting about an 8 out of 10 because both it was like a 7 out of 10. So,
Mm-hmm.
what would you give the show so far as a whole out of 10?
So far, I'd say 8.
Yeah, I think I think it's pretty fair so far.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment for it so far.
And it's a bummer because we expected it. I think we hoped and we also expected it to be a 9 or 10. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just not quite there. It's not there yet. But
We got
we'll
3
see.
more episodes. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. No, I have high hopes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's Attack of the
Well,
Clones.
it is. All right, guys. So be sure and like and comment. It really helps people find us better. So when there's more activity, it hits the homepage, hits a lot of other people a lot quicker. So it'd be able to help get us out there more. So we really appreciate you guys' support. Um, also, be sure to check out the links in the description. We have our Discord where you can chat with other friends. We get a lot more activity there, which is great. So join our Discord, join in. We'd love to talk with you, and we'd love to have you part of our community. It's a really friendly place there. Also, follow us on Instagram if you don't already. We'll continue to post updates and news there. You'll also be able to see a lot of our cool adventures that we're going to be doing this coming year. And also, if you're looking for some new shirts, click our Teespring link. There's some shirts I've designed that I think you guys will really like. So share with your friends, buy some, and enjoy. So thanks for watching, guys. Or well, not really watching, but thanks for listening, guys. And we'll catch you next time. Echo 2 out.
Echo 3 out.
May the force
Be with you.
always.